later.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone present either in person or via Zoom from the general public that wishes to make a comment? Is there anyone from the general public present?
Kathy, is there anyone online?
I don't see anyone, no.
All right.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
Motion.
Made by Jerry, second by
Jerry,
who?
Reed and Jerry.
Reed and Jerry. Okay, thank you. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That's carried. Okay. Recognizing a quorum, I'd like to call the meeting of the planning board into session. Please show the same persons present as previously indicated, plus the several representatives from the applicant and also media. Our first order of business is reading and approval of the March 14th public hearing minutes. Is there a motion to approve those?
Motion.
Second, please.
Second.
Mary made it. I don't know who seconded it.
JR,
JR. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
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 Okay, opposed? Those are carried. Next, we turn to the approval of the March 14th meeting minutes. Is there a motion to approve those? Well, first, before I ask for that motion, I wanted to note that when there was a discussion about the parking lot to the west of the the Aldi parking lot to the west of the medical building in the State Street project. I had mentioned that there would be a need for the property owner to maintain via their easement agreement with Aldi, the drive aisle at the western edge of the site, or if you will, at the eastern edge of the Aldi parking lot, sufficient to permit parking, access to and parking on the western side of the medical building. And I'd mentioned that in the meeting, and that did not make it in the minutes. So I would like to revise the minutes to reflect that. And are there any other revisions or modifications?
I believe that was reflected in the fourth paragraph under new business.
Let me take a look. Fourth paragraph, 1, 2, 3, 4. All it says there is that there is discussion regarding ownership. Says that the area to the west is owned by Aldi, and Ms. Casey Birch advisor is currently in agreement that it's in the process of being updated. But there's no indication of anything about maintaining a drive aisle. That's what I want to have added to the minutes. You okay with that, Reed?
Yeah, fine with me.
Okay. Any other revisions or modifications? Okay, I'd entertain a motion to approve the minutes for March 14th as revised.
Motion.
Okay, Craig and Mary, any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Those are carried. Next, we turn right directly to the State Street project. I want to thank Casey for providing me with a copy of the full-scale site plan, all the sheets. These are as good as any set of site plan drawings I've seen since I've been on the board. Very complete. Thank you very much. I have some questions and comments, and then a couple of conditions I'd like to go through. So why don't I just tick off mine, and then I'll open the discussion up to the board. But along the way, if I bring something up that any of the board members want to comment on, or if the representatives from the applicant, Casey and Colleen, want to respond, please do so. But first, I want to ask Gary, were there any questions from either your staff or the city departments on the stormwater report and the trip generation assessment report?
No, the document was provided to everyone. And from my understanding, it was satisfactory upon a review of it.
Okay, the departments are all okay with that.
Correct.
You know, I noticed that not all the departments weighed in. For example, the trees department didn't weigh in, although I guess there's only 2 trees on the eastern end and both of them are being saved.
We don't have a city forester right now.
Oh, we don't, that's why there
Wow.
is.
Yeah, Sue retired and there's no replacement at this point. So,
Okay, and Bob Ring is gone too, right?
correct.
That's why
Yeah,
he
he is working on a part-time basis. Kathy had even followed up asking for, his review and comments. He said he would do it, however, he didn't.
Okay, so are we satisfied with moving forward without his sign off?
I am completely.
Okay. Let's see. I would ask Casey, I looked at your stormwater drainage plan and with all the catch basins that are on the site. It looks good. You know, I looked at the swale in back of the medical arts building. That looks good also. My only question about stormwater drainage is on the eastern edge of the site. There are parking spaces to the east of 27th Street. So my question is, where does the stormwater that lands on 27th Street and those eastmost parking spaces on the east side of 7th Street, where does the stormwater from those drain to?
Yeah, can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Yep.
All right. Yeah, so in existing conditions, about half the site drains off to the east onto the neighboring property. So in a proposed condition, we didn't really like that much area just going, off and into the neighboring property. So we actually cut that area in half even more and brought it over to the actual drainage system to the left. I'll share my screen with you just so I can kind of explain this better visually.
What you're telling me is that 27th Street and those parking spaces still will drain to the east then?
Correct. The property is fairly flat as is. And right now, see right here, I don't know if you can see I don't know if you can see my cursor.
I can't.
But existing half of this site was flowing off and draining off into the neighboring property. We put a high point across here, and now a really small portion is actually draining off into the property now. But yeah, there's really no way to mitigate that except for bringing it over here as much as we can, and that's what we did for this plan, bringing it over to the existing drainage feature and putting it through a hydrodynamic separator, water quality unit here. But yeah, we believe that the proposed condition is way better than existing, and it reduces the amount of peak flow flowing off into the neighboring property.
I agree with you about that. What about putting like a curb at the edge of of that parking lot, of those parking spaces, and back around the back of the dumpster area, so that it would act as several inches of barrier, so that it would at least retain stormwater on those parking spots until it could evaporate.
Yeah, so we did provide curb along this back area where it didn't have it before. So what it's going to do, it will fill up and then it'll travel along into the dumps area and then out to the corner where everything flows now. So there is curb here. It's never really a good idea to pond it, mainly because during the winter there could be some safety concerns with ice. So it does hit the curb and then follows along the curb and out to the neighboring property. And again, it's a lot smaller of an area than existing conditions.
Is that to the south? Where it flows
It's
out?
southeast, yep.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, which is what it does today. It travels southeast towards, there's like a connection here. I don't know if it's a gravel path or a drive, but that's where all the stormwater goes now, yeah.
Yeah, now, is that I mean, there is an easement on one of the sheets that are showing I don't have my sheets open, but it shows a driveway that's accessed off the southern boundary of the site. Looks like it borders right up against 27th Street. Is that the one you're talking about?
Yeah, right here.
I can't really see your cursor.
Yeah, I wish there was a better way to, let me see. Oh, let me do a hand. Can you see a hand?
There it is, yeah.
Yeah,
right-
so yeah,
right.
there's an existing driveway here that connects to the neighboring property that we're maintaining as part of our project.
Okay. So
And
they-
that's where everything sheet flows down into it now.
they
But
will-
again, it's like this existing condition.
they will continue to be able to use that driveway then.
That is correct. And right now there's actually a utility pole here that seems very unsafe for people to use this driveway and have a utility pole here. So we are providing bollards to protect that pole a little more from vehicular traffic. So yeah,
There was-
we do plan to maintain this
There wasn't
drive.
a way to remove that. Well, that's outside your property boundary anyway.
That's correct. That's correct. Aldi's agreed to put these in here as
Okay.
part of this project, though.
All right. Let's see. Returning to that issue I mentioned regarding the drive aisle in Aldi's parking lot to the west of the site. Could you put your cursor over there to show what I'm referring to? That drive aisle right
Right
there.
here?
Yeah, that
Yeah.
has to be maintained so that, and the nice thing about your reciprocal easement and operations agreement, I have to admit, I didn't wade through all of it because there's a lot of stuff that's just not relevant there to us, but I did note in Article 1, paragraph 1.2, it does provide for ongoing maintenance of parking and traffic flow, which probably is language which is adequate to maintain that drive aisle, but it does refer in paragraph 1.2 to Exhibit B, which is not attached to the copy that I received. I mean, there are exhibits in the back of the document, A, B, C, et cetera, that are, all they are is legal descriptions of the property. And there's no, there's no diagram or site plan that shows that, and again, I think 2 weeks ago, I had encouraged you to make certain that your agreement. And, that's something that I think we would want to have in our file so that we can make certain that what we're approving will be able to be accessible on an ongoing basis over the life of the property.
Hey, Tom, the document I have actually has the Exhibit B. I wonder if you weren't provided with the entire thing because how big the document is.
Well, that's possible. I have mine here, right here, and the only thing that's in mine is a legal description.
Yeah, and that's what, I mean, I can take this right to the assessor's office and they'll know which one this is.
Okay, so there is a diagram that shows the drive aisle on it.
No, I have exhibit B's, exhibit C, and then, yeah, if you flip to the next page, well, there's exhibit C continued.
Right.
Oh, yeah, then there's exhibit D with the site plan showing some of those spaces.
Well, what I have for my site plan, you know, it's 8.5 by 11. You really, you know, it looks like the only thing that I see is what formerly was the Ponderosa lot, and in the 28th Street, you know, the extension of Independence Drive into the Kmart Plaza.
Mhm.
It really doesn't, you know, it's not clear to me that drive aisle that's included there is the same one that we have, because it doesn't match up, you know. If the Ponderosa site is
Right,
as,
it has a different footprint. I get what you're saying now.
yeah,
Yep, okay, never mind.
Right, so this is the existing declaration, which is an example, because they are modifying this to obviously be, to reflect our property. And we can definitely, I know that the common drive and common parking area is gonna be similar to what they have in the existing reciprocal easement and operations agreement. But we can definitely add language as a condition of approval to make sure that a specific area such as that drive right in front of the medical clinic be called out in the easement. We can definitely make sure, and the new revised easement.
right. And, you know, as long as you're calling out language, make certain that the drive aisle width is, you know, it is 24 feet like our code requires.
Yes, we can definitely maintain the required width as well.
And the other thing, I couldn't really pick this up from looking at the site plan, but why is that pedestrian crossing in the middle of the parking area? Why is that at an angle? Why didn't you just make that a straight shot across?
I mean, we can definitely do that. We are trying to give equal parking considerations to both uses, but yeah, we can definitely move that landscape island over and have it more straight across.
I don't care. I don't think that it really has much impact on pedestrian safety. You know, I think we're prepared to approve this as you propose it. I just wondered if there was some kind of a technical reason, like, for example, the location of utility valve shutoffs, but I didn't see that in the drawing. So it just arose my curiosity. So I figured I'd ask you the question. But, you know, I'm happy, unless the board wants to see it move so that it's squared off and angled, but I'm happy with it being angled. Any feeling from the board?
I'm okay.
I'd rather see it squared off so that it's away from the entrance to the drive pickup lane.
Well, it's probably going to be right next to it, no matter what happens.
Well, I know it'll be next to it, Tom, but it won't be angled into it, I guess is what I'm saying.
I see.
I don't, personally, it doesn't matter to me, whatever they want to do. I don't think it's much of a safety consideration.
Well, Craig, what would you like me to do? Ask for a straw poll?
However you wish.
All right.
I'm just stating, you know, my opinion would be to make it perpendicular. The engineer in me says that.
Okay, so that's what I'll do, is I'll ask what each of you one after the other, what you're feeling is perpendicular or angled. So Craig, we know is perpendicular. Jerry, I think you said angled is fine with you.
Yeah, and I have no preference.
That's my point, is the developer has no preference. He just,
Right. Mary, how do you feel?
I have no preference either. Either way is fine.
Reed, how about you?
No preference.
JR?
No preference, Tom.
Okay, neither do I. So the only exhibited preference is from Craig to square it off. So if the developer is okay with that, then let's make that a condition. Okay.
Yeah, that's fine. I'm sure we can work with, I mean, it's not making much of a difference between, the parking associated with it. So
Right.
we use
I
less.
have no problem with it. Yeah. No, I get where you're coming from, for sure.
Yeah. I look at, I realize this is, on another matter, I realize this is not a traditional drive-through in the sense that there's no order board and people won't queue up after they order because they're making the food. But if you look at the other fast food operations in town, all of them seem to have long queue lengths. And my sense is that, especially in the first year of operations, there's going to be long queues in this parking lot because the length is as it is. But I think that Casey, probably your response to this is that since it's not a traditional order on site, it's going to be a order online business for the drive-through. That should maintain or that should minimize the queue length. Is that what Chipotle's feeling is?
Right. So the way it works is you place your order online and they actually send you a time to come pick it up at the window. So if you come earlier, you could come later, but if you come earlier, they're going to probably tell you, you have to go and park somewhere. And that's what, see these 3 spaces here? Like if your order isn't ready, you can park over here and wait and then wait till the time comes and redo it. So there'll never really be a backup unless the Chipotle's online system goes awry and places everybody's time at the same time, you know what I mean? Or close to. But that's kind of the idea of the online order.
Okay. Well, in terms of conditions, I'd like to see 3 conditions on the project. One we just discussed, which is that perpendicular pedestrian crossing through the parking lot. The second one was raised by which department was it? The electric division, electric department. They mentioned that the egress onto West State Street at 27th Street should be conditioned as a right turn only from that exit. And he thought that would minimize the amount of accidents that we have. And I think that that's a really good idea. We certainly have precedent in doing that. For example, the Dunkin' Donuts project down in the East End. And here we've got even greater traffic volumes and greater traffic velocities and no immediately nearby traffic signal to slow things down. So I'd like to see that as a condition. And we would identify that by signage on either side of the drive that said, right turn only on the State Street, and also a pavement marker that said right turn only. That would be a second condition. And
Hey, would you mind if I hopped in here? This is Colleen Byrne from Solely Engineering.
Yeah, please do.
I'm the traffic engineer that prepared the trip generation memo for the proposed project. And I'm sorry, could you reiterate who that where that comment came from? This is the first I'm hearing about it for the right out only driveway.
Well, what the city does is it distributes the site plan to all the city departments, and they all have an opportunity to weigh in. And this came from one of the city departments. I think it was the electric department in the city. They also had another mention, and let's see, I'm looking for it right now. Bear with me. I guess I don't have it open. Could you, Carrie, could you read the comment relating to the 28th Street traffic signal loop?
Yeah, in the electrician's comment, he has also said the curb cut near the traffic signal may disturb the loops. So I had contacted him today. Chairman Barnes had some more questions. So we asked him to, kind of expand upon that concern. So then he said concerning his curb comments, referring to the loop in the pavement that controls the traffic signal, he says he was mistaken as that signal is now controlled by a camera and the city's not using loops at that intersection. He said that there's a traffic junction box in the subway. However, he doesn't want it to be disturbed, but he doesn't think that it would be near that curb cut. So it ended up being a moot point altogether, the entire comment.
Right, so I wasn't even going to bring that one up, but since you asked, Colleen, in addition to that one, he also made the comment regarding the egress only eastward out of 27th Street. Carrie, could you read his comment?
If you could.
Yeah, I sure can. He said he wants to make a right turn only onto West State Street. It says the easternmost egress onto West State Street. I can see vehicles trying to turn left to go west, and I think that would increase the potential for an accident. I would make this a right turn only, and anyone wanting to go westbound should be directed to the traffic signal. That would make it, that would be much safer.
Okay, so we were proposing to maintain the existing curb cut without any modifications. And we do anticipate that a good amount of the traffic will utilize the signal to take the left out of the site. But given that it was an existing curb cut with full movement and the two-way left turn center lane here, the applicant was hoping to keep the full movement driveway at that location.
Well,
one thing I would like to really think about is that was the city electrician. And I do believe, I mean, the appropriate people were giving that trip generation and everything else. So this may be not within the electrician's purview to make the comment on the traffic ingress egress. Streets reviewed it. They had no comments. The other divisions did it as well. That's just my 2 cents.
Just to brainstorm that just a little bit. Over the years, and we've had DOT traffic studies done in the West End there, and with all the additional development that's occurred out there, Walmart, et cetera, the traffic volumes and velocities have increased quite a bit since that curb cut was initially located there for that ingress egress. So, I just, Colleen, I respect your point of view. I just would like to explore whether or not, in fact, we should err on the side of safety or not. I get Carrie's point, streets didn't have any issues with it. So I throw that out to you, Colleen, and also to the board for your thoughts on that.
At 8 o'clock at night, it doesn't matter. There's no traffic out there anyhow.
Jerry, could you say that again? I couldn't understand you.
I said at 8 o'clock at night, the traffic is much less than it is at 4 in the afternoon. So, I mean, I hate to see you put any conditions on it, but if we had like set hours I'd feel better about that, but that's just me.
Anyone else from the board?
Tom, I would like to point out that at the time that Ponderosa got that curb cut, there were 4 lanes there. Now you've got 1 lane each direction with a turning aisle in the middle, which does allow egress to the west, making that left turn into the turning aisle if you need to.
Yeah, I was just gonna hop in there. That's kind of the purpose of those two-way center left turn islands, is to provide protection for vehicles who might be taking a left out of the site before they have to merge into the main lane of traffic. So essentially, you know, that's why the DOT likes to use those to provide that protective area for just these exact maneuvers, taking a left out. And it is only, you know, 1 lane in each direction, so you're not crossing multiple lanes of traffic to make that maneuver.
Anyone
That's
else from the board?
Point, Craig, about that. So it would certainly make it more safe under the circumstances of the traffic pattern now.
Anyone else on the board?
I'm fine with what is been proposed in terms of having it maintain both a left and right turn at that location. Especially because that's where the Chipotle or the drive-through is going to be emptying. I'm afraid that if we do condition that the right lane, we're gonna have a lot more navigation throughout the site with vehicles. Whereas if they can make a left turn there to be able to exit the site much more quickly.
JR, have you weighed in?
No, Tom, I haven't, but I'm good, as they said, I mean, it's with the protected lane to turn left, I'm good.
Well, I think that, you know, the only ones who have expressed some issues with that are Mary and myself, and Jerry had a conditioned response, but the rest of the board seems okay. And Carrie has given her opinion as well, and Colleen's made a good argument. So my sense is that unless somebody wants to condition that, I guess we'll go with leaving it as it is without a right hand only condition. The other condition that I wanted to talk about is, this came up in the minutes or at the last meeting, and it's kind of reflected in the minutes. There are 2 light poles that are going to be retained as part of the project, and if they are not already changed out to dark sky compliant, we'd like them to be, you know, downward shielded and dark sky compliant.
Yes, I actually, I spoke with our landscape architect and lighting architect after the meeting or the next day. And I had her look at those existing lights, and she did, and they actually already have dark sky compliant fixtures. So we said to maintain those poles and fixtures, but we also, yeah, so all lights on our property will be dark sky compliant. The new poles, the existing poles, and the wall packs associated with the building.
Right. Thank you for answering my questions and discussing the conditions that I wanted to have considered. I'd like to throw the whole project open to the balance of the board for your questions or comments or conditions you'd like to see.
Tom, could I just interject real quick before board members? I just wanted to suggest 2 conditions as well. One being that the stormwater drainage shall be connected to the proper systems to DPW satisfaction. And the second one being that backflow preventer needs to be installed.
And any other comments or questions from the board or other conditions from the other members of the board?
There was a comment from the water administration asking for cross connection control required on both buildings. Is that the backflow system?
Sure.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I was unmuting. Yep.
Anything else?
I have no other comments.
Okay. Let's see, I guess I would entertain a motion to approve the project with the three conditions we discussed. One is the perpendicular crosswalk across the parking lot. Another is connection of the stormwater catch basin system to the city stormwater system. And the third is the backwater preventer installed, the cross connection between the two buildings.
Tom, you had a fourth. You also want a copy of the additional language added to the easement agreement with this area specified in front for the medical clinic with a drive aisle and make sure it meets code.
Right, and provided to the city for inclusion in our file. Okay, those are the four conditions.
I move we approve the project with those conditions.
Second,
Made and seconded. I think that was Craig and Jerry.
yep,
Okay. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
I,
Aye. Opposed? You are in business. It's carried.
Sounds good. Thank you very much, everyone.
I want to
Thank you.
thank you. I want to thank you and your principals for investing in our city. Thank you very much.
I will let them know. Thank you very much.
Okay. Let's see. We move on then. Is there any new business?
There's none.
I suppose we should say that they should be contacting code enforcement for their permits.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Is there any miscellaneous or communication?
I don't believe so. I think I did the follow-up items that the board had requested the last two meetings. And then once I get any update on the cannabis for the various locations within the zoning, I will forward that on to members.
Next meeting date, our regularly scheduled meeting date would be April 11th. If we have business. And I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
I think that was Reed.
second,
Second is who?
JR.
JR. Thank you. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
All right.
Opposed? We stand adjourned. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank